with looping control structures. Now, this simple HTML content has to be repetitively done for all the values within this object. Now, how you're going to add iterators within your HTML code, which is completely impossible if you're using plain HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But now it is possible to iterate n number of data or to iterate the content within your HTML code itself. Okay, let us see how you're going to do. Let us say, for example, I have where some marks is equal to, I have some array of some values. Now my expectation is I want to show each and every value within this element. How you're going to do? Let us say I'm coming out of this UL. I'm going to say something called as some div. My expectation is, and when I'm going to add some marks directly. Now when I'm saving this, come back, reload, you see marks is not coming. Why the reason? It has to be a expression. Now when I say an expression, you see these are the values what we have. Okay, but my expectation is I have to iterate to each and every value, then I have to show each and every value in one individual divs. Now for that what I'm going to do is, I'm going to say something called, everybody is so clear with map method, or you want me to explain the app map method first? In JavaScript, we have that map method, array.map method. Okay, so we say some var some data is equal to say some array. If at all you have to iterate to this, we can simply say that data.map method. Map method always takes a callback method, and it is going to take each and every value from this array. Everybody so clear on this? Okay, we will be using the same map method in order to iterate within your fragment. Okay, so what I'm saying is I'm going to put some expression. Under that expression, marks dot map method, and it is going to come with some some value and the corresponding index. Okay, so this is how map this guy. Let's remove this. Why it is filling it? So this guy, we are going to have another closing brace, right? Yeah. So this is how you could able to map it. Why it is still a red symbol? Okay, because I have not added anything. I'll say something called as say some span. I'll say some div, say some test. Okay, now what is the syntax of this map method? Whatever the array you have, dot map is a predefined method which is going to take a callback method here. Under the callback method, we know that it's going to come with the key and value. First parameter is the value, second parameter is the key. Now when I come back here, I reload the page. What is the error? We can't give this uppercase div. So if you are not using any predefined, what do you say, predefined tag, it will be treating it as a custom concept, custom component. Now when I come back, reload the page, you see here the test is getting repeated multiple times. Implies we could able to iterate, or we could able to use the looping control structure within your HTML itself. But my expectation is I want to show the marks here. Now what I'm going to say, I say value hyphen index. Again, this guy has to be inside the expression. Now when I come back, reload, this is how you could able to iterate over the values within the array. Are we clear? Okay, in the same way, What if I want to iterate all the values within this product details? Now what I'm going to do is I say product details dot map. Okay, under that value is one single item. Every time you're going to get one single item here. Okay, item, and now I'm going to say item and the corresponding index. Let us see how actually we are going to get the data. Now, once you come back, it is not going to throw in data here. Why the reason? The reason is we cannot bind two values directly to the HTML fragment. Okay, we already discussed about the what do you say, data binding. For example, I go with something called, let me create a separate example to not to confuse. Iterating, under that I'll say data binding dot js. Under that I say export function, export default function, data binding demo. Data binding demo component, and let us see whether it is working fine or not. Go back to your index.js. Instead of product data, I'm saying data binding demo. Okay, now you need to import this guy. I say import data binding demo from so and so. Come back, data binding demo is coming. For example, I go back to this data binding.js. I say where user name is Mr. Raj. You know how do we bind this guy to the element, to the UI? We simply say that a div, we simply say a div, and username is, just to put your expression, something like this. Now when I save it, come back, this is how it is coming. Okay, for example, I say where user age equal to something called as 20. Now when I come back here, I want to bind this guy. I say div user age is so and so. Okay, come back. This is how it is coming. For example, I say where is fee paid equal to true. Now I would like to render this is fee paid to this guy. Now when I come back and reload, is it is being shown? You cannot bind a boolean value directly to the UI. Okay, boolean values will not be binded directly to the UI. Then what is the way? How do I get it? It's not going to be an error, but you cannot bind the boolean value onto the page. Now, in order to do this, what we can do is we can say something called as dot to string method. I mean, I'm taking that boolean, I'm converting into string, then I could able to see. If it is a boolean value, that cannot be directly binded onto the UI. This is a base underline you need to understand. Are we clear? Okay. In the same way, for example, I say where array, you know that array it is possible. I say some div, okay, marks, and marks dot join. Directly also you can simply say marks. Directly you can say marks can be bind, implies array can be directly binded onto the page. Now instead of directly showing this marks, I can say dot join. Under that you'll put some space so that it will be showing like what all the arrays you have, or else if you want to put some comma separator, you can even do this. So array can be directly binded. Okay. For example, I say some data, or else I'll say some address is going to be a JSON object where street name is so and so, city is so and so, something like this. Now I would like to bind this object into this. I'll say address like this. Sorry. I want to keep directly the address. Now when I save this and when I'm coming back, putting or binding the object directly into the HTML is an error. In case of your boolean, it was not rendering the true value, whereas coming to the object, it cannot bind the object data onto the page. Now when you come back here, go to your console, it is saying that an error occurred in the document. So what actually it is saying? Boss, objects are not a valid as a React child. I mean, under the child, whatever the elements we are going to get render, under that, as a child, objects cannot get render. Okay, that is going to be an error. Again, this is a underlined statement. Now, how do I render the object then? What if like I want to see an object to be rendered? Then in that case, what you do? Convert into string. You know how do we convert an object into string? How do we convert an object into string? Come on. Object into string. JSON dot stringify. We say something called as JSON dot stringify this address. So converting the object into the string, it is possible to render now. Are we clear? So this is how you are going to do the binding of this data. This is again a good interview question. Is it is possible to render a Boolean value or an object to the fragment? No, boss, not at all possible. Is there is an option? Yes, boss, we can convert it to string. String can be binded, and you could able to do that. So that is how I'm doing. True is a string now. This object is a string now. Any questions up to this? Okay, I see some questions here. Uh, please explain map method. We already discussed on this JavaScript, right, Madhuri? You still have a question? Let me know. Uh, so map method is also data binding with key and values. Sonali, here map method is not working as a data binder. If you see here, I am saying JSON.stringify under this expression. What does that mean? I am invoking one of the JavaScript method to come there, execute this. Now the data binding is going to happen. In the same way, when you go with this map method, right? You see, I'm keeping under the expression. It is not doing the data binding. If I'm not using the map method for the data binding. I'm using the map method to iterate something. Under that, whatever the values I'm getting, now I'm doing the data binding as a separate part. Here we are not using the map method for doing the data binding. Instead, map method is used to iterate over the object. Okay. Pallavi, curly bracket. So map method is also data binding. Okay. What is the reason for not showing a Boolean value in the UI? So that is how it is being designed, Swati. Maybe like, I mean, they treat that true value and false value as zeros and ones. So that is the reason, that is how it is being designed. In React, we cannot directly get the Boolean value onto the page, and we cannot add that object as a children. So that is what you can see, right? For example, whenever we are using the object as a binder, it is throwing an error saying that I cannot make object as a children within the DOM structure. So it is treating this guy as a DOM element whenever I'm binding, and I cannot directly take an object. So that might be the issue. I mean, that is how the React has been designed. So for product details, we are not using string method. Still it is rendering. No, we are using string method. If we go here, okay, forget about the product data. When you go to this data binding, am I using this stringify? Yes, right? Am I clear, Swati? So, Mohammed, Mark, I don't know. Okay, Mark, I think some other questions. So, for product details, so can we use for loop instead of map to print JSON array? No, Ganesh. We generally go with the map method under the React fragment in order to render this content. Okay, but again, that's a good question. Even I never tried it. Let's try for that. What if I'm going to use, okay, under this, I'm going to put another expression. Under that, I say a loop where I equal to 0, I less than marks dot length, I plus plus, and so and so. No, the syntax is not matching, right? So if you see, when you're using the map method, we were using something called as this open brace and close brace, where this is getting evaluated. But when I go with the for loop, obviously I cannot keep these braces. And at the same time, if I keep the flower brace, that indicates that it's an expression. So that might be the reason for loop things are not possible to use within the fragment. Am I clear, Ganesh? Shri, we are not going to use for loop here. Our requirement is to iterate this. So we could able to do the iteration, right? Either you use the for loop or map method. Our requirement is to use our requirement is to iterate over each and every element. So obviously I'm doing. Ganesh, the same thing happens with the for each also, right? We should not have the flower brace. Only map is the method without even flower brace, it is going to work. Because if in between flower brace is coming, your React will treat it as a expression. Okay. Can you try rendering another JSON object below product details data? Okay. Okay. Are you guys, first of all, clear with this? What all the data can be binded and what all the data cannot be binded? Okay. I'm again coming back to our previous example. Coming back to your product details. Okay. So you want to access another data, right? So what I can say is, okay, this is the map method where I was using only the, one second, I was showing you the array here. Iterating over the array, we have seen this. But now my expectation is I want to iterate all the values within this product details. Isn't it? I have array of objects. Now what I need to do, this guy is responsible for adding only one single product data. Instead of this, can I say something like this? I say an expression. Okay, under that, product details dot map method, product, why the hell this guy is autofilling, product details dot map method, and this guy. Now I'm going to get the product data comma some index. Now whatever the data earlier we have added under this UL, I'm taking out, I'm keeping it under this looping control structure. Any questions? Earlier we were using it as a one single product data. Now I kept that one single product data under this map method so that multiple product details can be coming. Now I'll remove this guy, and here I don't need to have this product data. One single data, it is not there. It's all the array of objects. Let us save this, come back and reload the page. Why it is not coming? Because under your index.js, you are not using that component. You are using the data binding component. I need to use what component? This product data component. I go here, I say product data component. Now I come back here. Do I see multiple product data getting rendered on the page boss? So how much of JavaScript code you have written to render this guy? You see, very simple. Nothing. So here I have this product data. Okay, and we have written one single looping control structure to render this product data. I bet you if you have to do the same guy for without using the React, you want to go with only HTML, CSS, JavaScript, minimum 50 lines of code you're going to write. 50 plus lines of code you're going to write with all the DOM operations. Create div guy, create this UL tag, document.create element, etc. things and all. UI class students, you might be knowing it. We have already done that. But here, I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing any type of DOM operations here. I'm simply keeping this all the HTML content rendering into the simple map method. Okay. So any questions up to here? Ganesh, you're asking for enabling the mic, right? As I said you, this is the demo link. What is happening? Mostly from next week or so, they will be changing this. Only for the registered student, they are going to give the access for this meeting ID. They are going to share you the meeting ID. Then this mic enabling and those things can be done. Okay, just wait for another couple of days of time. Next, Siddhartha. What is stringify method? Why that method along with JSON? Come on, Siddhartha. That is where I said you guys need to be good at the JavaScript. But anyway, to just give the explanation, what the JSON.stringify method will do is he will convert the JSON object into the string data type. So that is why we go with the JSON.stringify. And JSON.parse method, which will be used to convert the JSON based string to the object again. Am I clear, Siddhartha? Next. So am I clear with your question, Swati? You asked for rendering another JSON. Hope you are done with that. Ganesh, I think we can use for loop out of return and print in fragment. If we use it out of return, how it will be adding back to the fragment? Okay, it might not be possible, but yeah, you can try and let me know. Is there any PDF for the content of React.js? I think I already said this in the day one class itself, right? Is it is recommended to go with the PDF? No, right? Instead, it is recommended to go with the React.dev web page itself because PDF is just specific to the particular content whatever you have, but later if it is changing it will be a problem. That is the reason I always suggest directly go to the react.dev dedicated web page for all the React documentation. For example, today we are talking about the map method. You directly search for something called as map, so it will automatically tell you how you're going to use this map method, etc. So anything you wanted, anything, whatever we have discussed in the class, everything will be part of this documentation. I suggest you don't go with the PDF. If you go with PDF, you'll be restricted to only that part. If something is deprecating, something is something getting added, you might not be knowing. So recommended to go with this guy. Uh, okay, Avinash. All products is also an object. So without converting, we are using there. Avinash, if you see, what is the thing I said? I said like it is not possible to bind the JSON object directly to the UI. Agree with this? Yes or no? Now, what Avinash is saying is, boss, okay, if at all I have to add the JSON onto the UI, then you need to convert that guy into string, then you have to make use of it. But now what he's asking the question is, boss, here in case of this map method, I mean, in case of product details, we are not doing any JSON.stringify, but still I could able to add it. How? If you clearly see, am I adding the JSON data onto the UI or strings into the UI? Strings, right? Individual keys I'm taking. Object dot key is the one what I'm taking. For example, if I directly say product data, then it will be a problem for you. Now you see, then it should be a problem. You are trying to render an object there. But when I say product data dot particular key, I'm not adding the object. I'm getting the key value of it, which is a string. Hope I answered your question. Swati, are you going to provide us the notes, any PDF attachment? Swati, hope you're clear with this, right? As I mentioned, recommended not to go with the PDF. But yes, for example, I'm explaining any of the concept. If you want some notes for that, that I can give it in the theory. Like I'll spell it out and you can copy that. Okay. Any more questions? Any more questions in the iteration of this JSON object? Is everyone good? Sorry, iteration of the array, not the JSON object. And one more thing, what is recommended is whenever you are using the map method, when you go to your console, you will be having something called as, okay, to clear this, reload the page. You see, there is a warning which is being shown for you. What is that warning? Each child in a list should have a unique key property. What React suggests is, boss, whenever you are using any of the iterator, now you see one UL tag will be created, second UL tag will be created, third UL tag will be created, five UL tags will be created using this map method. Whenever you are iterating an array and rendering multiple elements, it is recommended that this parent guy should have a key property with a unique value. Now I'm saying key equal to index because index is going to be unique value only here. Yes, right? Index will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Whatever the value you give it. You give a string, you give a number, whatever you give it. But you try to give some unique value as a key property so that I won't repeat, because internally within your React, when it is creating that virtual DOM, etc., it has to maintain some uniqueness under this. To maintain that, it is recommended to keep it as key. If you don't give it, it's not going to throw an error. But if you don't give it, it is going to throw it as a warning. But now if you see, when I keep this key here, now let us reload the page. Do you see that warning message? No. So whenever you make use of this iterate map method, make sure you use this key. Okay, remember that you add this key property with a unique value. Don't give the one single value. Now when I say key, instead of this, I say something called as 1. Okay, assume I'm going to say something called as 1. Now if you reload the page, inspect this guy, go to console, it is still an error. Why so? Every time you are putting key itself as a 1 itself, which is not a unique value. So recommended to keep it as a unique value, which is index. Clear everyone? Save this, come back, and without a warning, it is getting rendered. And let me say UL, for example, if you want to render these all elements next to each other, okay, so this is how the product elements are getting rendered. Or else, instead, you can even say float is not recommended. You can say something called as display flex. And flex hyphen direction row. By default, anyway, it is row. Why all these are happening? Flex. Okay, UL should be a flex. Implies this guy has to be given for the parent. Display flex row, and this parent has to be given for this div guy. Parent. This is how it is. Okay. So any questions? And again, it is getting wrapped here. Instead of this, I can go, everybody is so clear all the CSS properties, right? So flex hyphen wrap as no wrap. This is how the second thing is coming into the next line. Okay. Any questions up to this? Okay, Parameshwar, if notes of set of interview questions on each specific topic would be helpful. Instead, what I can say is, uh, I am making sure whenever I'm running the topic, I'm saying that this is a good interview question, right? So when I'm saying this, why don't you guys take itself instead of that? Because I'm not going with okay, now let's write off interview questions. Instead of that, when the topic is going, if I feel like it's an interview question, I will let you know. Now you add it into the interview questions list. Is okay? Okay, yesterday itself I have discussed about, I think some interview questions I have already mentioned, right? So I'll make sure if it is a good interview question, I'll make sure I will let you know, you note it down as an interview question. Okay, so today's interview question, what I asked is, I mean, what are the values which cannot be, what data type cannot be binded directly into the UI or fragment? What are those? Boolean and object. Is it is possible to add them? Yes. How? Convert it to string. Okay, that's a good question. In the same way, how you're going to iterate, how you're going to implement iteration within your fragment using map method. Why not the for loop methods? it is having the flower brace. If it is having the flower brace, that itself is treated as an expression. Okay, whereas coming to the map method, you see, under the map, we haven't used any type of flower brace here. You see, directly I was using this open brace and adding. If it is a flower brace, it will be treating it as an expression. Okay, that I will make sure that whenever I feel like it's a good interview question, I will let you know. And Sukanya, if you are there in the class, please let us know like when we will be having this meeting ID change. Okay, so that people can, right now what is happening is even you guys couldn't able to see the questions being thrown by others also. You can only see the questions what is being asked by you because you are putting the questions, you have an option of putting the questions only to the host and panelist. But after the meeting ID gets changed, you will be uh, given, you could able to see the chat messages of others and you can unmute also. Okay. Can we use ID instead of index? You can use it. I mean, as I said you, right? Okay, who said this? Shivangi. So as I said you, it is expecting that the error, what it is saying is, I need a key attribute with a value, something unique. You use ID, you use user ID, you use something else. But give me unique value, that's it. In my case, I found it as an index. But yes, as you mentioned, if you see ID is the property where it is already there for the product, then you can use ID also, not a problem. Okay, next. Okay, Sukanya, today after the class. So mostly like you might be getting after class, you might be getting, at least with the people who have got registered, you'll be getting with this new meeting ID details. Ganesh, I think we can print Boolean and object in web page directly in Angular. Might be the case. I think it's been a long time, even I haven't touched Angular. But yes, in Angular, there was no restriction like this. Any more questions? Everyone good up to here? We can go forward? Okay. So this is how we could able to iterate and we could able to render. Now my next question is, how do you iterate over an object? If it is an object, how do we iterate an object using your JavaScript? In JavaScript, if at all I have to iterate over the object, what was that? For in looping control structure. For in is the looping control structure through which you could able to iterate over the JSON object. Now, if it is React, under React, because as we have clearly seen, for in cannot be used, for cannot be used there. Now, how you are going to iterate over the object? There is a very simple shortcut we have. Let's go back to the data binding concept. You see, for example, data binding we have seen, right? Under the data binding itself, I will explain this. For example, under this address, we were directly adding this. Instead of this, I want to say what is street, what is so and so, what is city, what is so and so. I would like to go for. Now I'll say UL tag. Under this, now I would like to iterate over this object. So how I could able to do that? In order to do this iteration over the object, again we will be using the map method, but what I can say is, object dot keys. Everybody know what do you mean by object dot keys? Object dot keys. It is going to return whenever you say var obj equal to some data. Now you say var keys is equal to object dot keys of obj. What it is going to return is, it will be returning you array of key 1, key 2, key 3. For example, if this guy is having something called as key 1 colon so and so, object dot keys will return you array of all the keys within the JSON object. Is everybody clear? This is a JavaScript method, nothing to do with your React. Okay, object.keys is going to throw you list of all the keys inside this. In the same way, object.values will be throwing you the values within the object. But now I'm going with this keys only. Now I'm using this shortcut like object.keys dot address implies you're going to get the all the what do you say, all the keys of it. Now I am simply saying dot map method. Anyway, map is going to tell, map is going to iterate over the JSON object. Now you can simply say li, the key is so and so, address of key is so and so. Now let us save this. And I think index.js data binding is not there, right? Let me put this data binding here. Come back and reload the page. You see, this is how I could able to iterate over the JSON object. So in your fragment, it is possible to iterate over the JSON object, iterate over the arrays. Clear, everyone? Okay, any more questions? Venkat, I missed the first four demo classes. Will you cover from basic starting onwards if I join? Venkata, like as I said, right? I mean, she already, Sukanya has already sent us this recordings. Okay, so please go through those recordings. As I mentioned, this Saturday, I'm going to take the revision of the content, whatever we have covered. Okay, so at that case, but by the time you please finish all the recordings, and at the time you let me know what topic to be repeated, then I'm going to discuss that. Is that fine? Sri, please repeat the keys method. Sure. Now, what I'm saying is, whenever we go with something called as edge object, if you see obj equal to key 1 and key 2, some key 3, etc. is there. Whenever you say object is a predefined object in your JavaScript, dot keys is a predefined method. If you pass any object to that guy, it will be returning you the array of all the keys in the inside the JSON object. Okay, object.keys is a predefined JavaScript method, nothing to do with your React. It will automatically return you the array of all the key values. The reason why I am using the object.keys is because I can apply the map method only on the array of values. Now this guy anyway will give me the array. Yes, now that array.map will be working. I cannot say object.map there. Did that answer your question, Sri? Without object, can't we render JSON? We have different ways, Swati. The other way is object dot entries or object dot values. I mean, one thing what you wanted is I want a array of values so that I can use the map method. Now you use anything to get that array of values. Clear, ma'am? Shivangi, is there only object.keys? I think, yeah, you also have the same question. So, Shivangi, the reason why I'm going with this object.keys is my expectation is I am having map method. I can only say array dot map method, right? I can't say object dot map method or something else. So, to get that array, I am using something called as object.keys. This guy will be returning me the array of values. So, indirectly, I'm using this guy. Hope I'm clear. Swati and Shivangi both have the same questions. Ganesh, why we need to use keys? We can print values directly like object dot values. My requirement is like this, Ganesh. It's all depends. My requirement is key with value. If my requirement is no, only show the value, then it is fine. Right, Ganesh? My requirement is to show the key and value. That is the reason I'm using. Otherwise, you can go for that. Prabhat, is our LI is not closed. Is it so? No way. If it is not closed, it will be throwing an error for us. Are you talking about in the other example? We have done that. If it is not closed, it will be throwing an error directly. You see, for example, if I'm missing this, okay, come back here and reload, it will be throwing an error. Fragment is very mandatorily to be closed. If it is a HTML, even though you miss this closing tag, that is fine. It is not going to throw an error. Whereas coming to your React fragment, it is mandatory. Any more questions? Everyone good up to here? So clear? Okay, now let us save this. Now we are so clear about how do we render the data dynamically to the UI. Now my expectation is I want to put some conditions. My conditions is, I mean, how do I put some condition? For example, the price what we are showing for the products. Let me add the product component back to this. Data binding I'm removing. I'm going back with the product data. Now you see this is how the product data is there. Now my expectation is whenever this whenever the product data price is greater than 100, my expectation is I want to show something called as high price. I want to show some tag, something called as high price or low price. For example, so after price, I would like to say something called as low price or high price. Okay, this is my expectation. Right now, what is coming for every other guy? Yeah, present in BSP semicolon. It is adding a space. Okay, so if you see right now, price is coming along with this. I'm simply getting as low price and high price. But my expectation is don't show the low price and high price for every other value. Based on the price, if it is greater than 100, show this low price. If it is less than 100, sorry, if it is greater than 100, show it as high price. If it is less than 100, then you need to show low price. So how you're going to do that? How you're going to put the conditions here? It is possible to put the conditions directly within the fragment. Okay, so how you're going to do? Let's have a look on this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say product price. So I'm going to put another expression. Product price, okay, is greater than 100. If it is greater than 100, I say low price is the one what need to be shown. Okay, here I need to put a question mark. Low price, otherwise colon, it is a high price. As simple as it is. Okay, instead of directly, I can go with something called as say some span here as low price, and this guy will be high price. Any questions? I'm just using conditional operators here, question mark and colon. Okay, save this guy, come back over here and reload the page. Why I'm getting low price, high price? Okay, I have not removed this. Save this guy, come back here. You see, this guy is low price, this is high. Why so? Condition is wrong. If it is greater, excuse me. If it is greater, okay, instead, I'll just change this condition to less than. Now, if you see here, this is high and this is low, as simple as it is. So, based on a condition, I could able to render the content. Okay. So, based on a condition, we could able to render any of the piece of content. So, this is how you can add conditions or loopings within the iterator itself. What is recommended to use, ID or index? In what case you are saying, Pallavi? Can you please tell me the line number? I mean, are you talking about line number 14, the key value you are saying? The key value you are saying, ma'am? Let me know if you have, which one you have. Okay, Madhuri, can we use if here? Okay, so you cannot use the predefined keys what we have. If you see here, whenever you're using this map method, where is that map method? If you see here, when I'm using this map, map is a method on the top of your array, isn't it? So that is what I'm using. But if you say that, boss, can I use the if keyword? If keyword is a direct keyword which is part of your JavaScript that cannot be used over here. For is a direct keyword which is part of your JavaScript that cannot be used over here. Isn't it? So that's the reason instead of that, it is recommended to go with conditional operators only. But yes, you may ask me a question, what if I don't have else statement? Isn't it? What if I don't have else statement? Right now, what is happening? If it is this guy, this gun we will do. For example, what if like I don't want to do this, only for the low price I want to do this. Is it is possible? It is a invalid syntax. So one thing is either you need to say colon some empty. For sure you need to put the colon and empty. Then only it will work. Now once you come back here, reload, this is working. For high price it is not showing, for low price it is showing. But my expectation is why the reason you're even showing this. If you remove this, it is going to throw us a error because you're using a invalid syntax. So what if I have only the if condition, I don't have else condition, and I don't want to go with this. One option is this, by putting some empty, you can do. The other option what we have is, for example, I'll comment out this guy. There is something called as product price greater than so and so. You see, double ampersand is again a condition. If this guy is true, then only you have to execute this guy. Otherwise, there is nothing. You're just completely skipping it. Now, here I'm not using the conditional operator. I'm using the double ampersand operator. Now, let us save it, come back and reload. You see, low price is coming. So, I'm not going with the conditional. If you have if else, then you go with that conditional. If you have only if condition, then you simply go with double ampersand. So, all this statement will be part of this. I mean, this statement will be only executed if this condition is going to be true. Are we clear? I think, can we use if here? Madhuri, hope you're clear with your question, ma'am. Okay, Pallavi, when you say that under the map, right? If you see what your React is asking, React is not asking that, boss, you have to use ID, you have to use index, you have to use number, you have to use character. What React is expecting is whenever you are iterating something, make sure that guy should have a key and the value should be unique value, whatever you use it. If you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 works, A, B, C, D, E, F works. No, you use ID, you use index, it's up to you, right? Now, here you are saying that can't I use ID? Luckily, in your object, you have an ID. What if it is not having an ID? You cannot make use, right? So that is the reason I have gone with the index, but it's not mandatory that you have to restrict only to the index. Whatever the unique value you have, you can go for that. Hope I'm clear. Avinash, what is this ampersand NBSP? Ampersand NB is the bytecode which will be rendering like a space. You might be knowing the bytecodes, right? Bytecode HTML ampersand NBSP semicolon. So there are n number of bytecodes for each and every, what do you say, symbols. Okay, there is a list of bytecodes can be used in HTML. You see, these all are the codes what we have. If it is less than symbol, you can directly say ampersand, what do you say, hash, so and so. In the same way, when you have space, for space, we have this guy, but yeah, ampersand and BSP is also one of the unique part we have. Okay. Anyway, this will be part of your HTML when you're learning. Hope you're clear, right? Just for the space I'm getting. Instead of this, boss, what can you go with margin or padding? You can even go for that. Just put some CSS. Okay. Can we use if we don't have map? Can we use if we don't have map? But here, why map and if are coming into combination, Madhuri? Map is completely different, if is completely different, right? Map is for the iterator we are using, if is for the condition we are using. Can you please reframe your question? Span tag exactly where we use, sir. That's again a HTML part. Span tag is a inline element. If you want to render multiple elements to be rendered within the same line, then we go with the span tag. If we want to render elements in a new line, go with the block level element, which is your div. Shatish, in data binding, instead of toString, can we use fee paid? Yeah, obviously we can do. That's a good way. What Satish is saying is, boss, in your what do you say, fee paid, Boolean cannot be rendered directly. Can I put a condition like this? So what he's saying is, earlier is fee paid. It was not coming. Then what we are saying, dot to string we are doing. Okay, but now what he is suggesting is, instead of that, can I say is fee paid? Okay, question mark, it is true, colon, it is false. Obviously, yes, right? But it's a lengthy one, what we you are suggesting, but you can go for that. Shivangi, why do we use ampersand here? And it's used. Actually, right, that is a condition why we are using Shivangi. What I'm saying is, for example, is fee paid? Ampersand, you are eligible for the course, as simple as it is. Okay, so here this guy is a condition. Condition you're saying, and you're doing this. So here I don't have a message called as you're not eligible. For example, you may even do this. Not of so and so, you are not eligible. You are eligible and assume like you are not eligible. Assume like these are the two messages. Now, in this case, it is recommended that is fee paid question mark something called as you are eligible and you are not eligible. So here, if we have if and else, then go for this conditional control structure. If you have only if condition, then you go with the double ampersand. Am I clear with your question? To ask this, Shivangi. Oh, excuse me. Sumant, is key is mandatory for every loop? It is recommended, right, Sumant? If we don't use the key, is it throwing any error? No, it's a warning message what it is showing. Madhuri, my question is in fragment. If we don't have map, then we have to use if the question for a different scenario. In short, can we use if in a fragment? Uh, we don't have the map, then we have to use if in the question. Why do we use this if? That's again a question for me. Why map and if you're combining? I'm not clear, Madhuri. In fragment, we don't have map. Okay, assume if you don't have map, then we have to use if. But our if is for what? For checking the conditions. By using the map, are we checking the conditions? No, right? Map is an iterator. Okay. Pallavi, can you try is fee paid condition in the product component? Yes, we can. In fact, like I tried this, right? You see, product dot price. I could able to see this, right? I have used both the conditional control structure at the same time. I'm using this ampersand also. Still, you want to do something else, Pallavi? Let me know. Avinash, I think instead of for, she is saying if. Yeah, let me see. For Boolean, I'm asking. Okay, okay. For example, Boolean, you want me to add a condition, right? In fact, the response of this product dot price itself is a Boolean, right? Yes or no? Product dot price less than 100. What is the response of it? Either true or false. Okay. But yes, if you really want to check only for that guy, you can say like where is fee paid equal to something called as true. Okay. Now I would like to put a value here. Just for example, I'm adding, I'll remove this. Now I say another li Okay, now you put an expression again. Is fee paid? I say fee paid. Other one is fee pending. Come back here, reload. You see, fee paid is coming for everyone. What if this guy is false? Now when I say something called as fee is pending. Am I clear, Pallavi, with your question? Okay, Sumant, suppose if want to execute some block of HTML with condition base, still ternary operator method is preferred or anything else? Only ternary operator is the one which is recommended. So, but again, if you have set of HTML, right, what Sumant is saying is, boss, for example, I have a condition is male candidate. Okay, I have to write n number of HTML. Assume like I have something called as 20 lines of HTML code I need to write here, like this. Why the hell? Okay, if it is a male candidate, let us say I have this HTML code I need to write. Okay, else. Okay, this is a question mark. And here I'm going to put a colon, and he's, if it is a female, I'm doing this. Now what he is asking is, based on a condition, I have n number of HTML elements need to be rendered. Just give me a second, guys. Yeah. So if it is condition, I'm going to do this. No, I'm going to do this. Now what he is saying is, so here I have n number of HTML. Do you still want me to go with the ternary operator itself, or you want me to, do we have any other option? Ternary operator is the one which is recommended, but it is not recommended to go with this guy. Instead, can I take out this HTML? I make out a separate component. Yes or no? I can make it as a separate component. Now, instead of this guy, I will simply say male content. In the same way, here it will be something called as female content. Like this you will use. Okay, it's not, I mean, if you have more than, right now I'm showing something called as true, false, or low price, higher price. It's a simple messages. That's the reason I'm directly adding within the page itself. But what if you have huge number of HTML, more than like multi-lines of HTML, you go with a separate component. Okay. Hope I'm clear with your question. Swati, in between line 24, can we use if condition to check and print? Is this is the file, ma'am, you're saying? In between line 24, you're saying, right? Here. I already checked the condition, right? Here I'm checking the condition. Based on this, I'm going to put this. What else you want me to do? Okay, are you saying that here can I go with the if condition or so and so? Is that is what your requirement, ma'am? Yes. I mean, that is what, right? If I use this if inside, if I put a flower brace, is it is really breaking the fragmentation rule? Yes. It is breaking the fragmentation rule, right? Now you see, I'm having a flower brace. Under the expression, you're putting another expressions here. So, but I mean, what do you want? If you really want to do something based on a condition, okay, for example, your condition is product dot price less than 100. Yeah, you can add another conditions, right? In fact, instead of doing all this, let's give it to a separate component. Okay, what I'm saying is price product so and so, right? Price product less than so and so. Here, I go for something called as uh, low and high price check. This is what we generally do in the real time. Now you see, I created a separate component here. Now this component will be adding the logic of whether if it is price is so and so, if condition, while loop, whatever you want to do, you do in that individual component. Did that answer your question, ma'am? Please comment line number 22 and give my above condition. Okay, let me do that. Okay, you want to comment line number 25, right? Or you want to comment from 22 to 27? Okay, only this guy? Okay, and I'm taking your condition and I'm keeping it over here. Okay, so now you're saying if so and so and else so and so, this high price. Obviously, high price is a direct string you're saying, so that might not work. Forget about what is happening, but at least I'll say else high price. Okay, why it is an error? Not inside flower price. Uh, you asked me to keep it over here only, right? Or else. Okay, I say, for example, forget about your condition and all. I'll say true. If it is true, I'll say something called as console.log, something called as hello. I'll do this. Is it is possible? Forget about like if low price, etc. and all. Is it is possible to put this guy or not? Now the very first condition what I'm going to get, that is no. Right? If this itself is not working, then how your if condition will be working over here? Okay, you want me to remove this flower brace also? Is that is what you're saying? Sir, if we remove line number 22, line number 22 is not there. Is it is okay now? Okay, okay, save this, come back. It is not okay to react. Okay, ma'am? So you cannot directly, for example, you're saying something called a less than, greater than and all. Where those guys has to be, those guys, okay, forget about this commenting, etc. I will remove these guys also. Okay. Now, how can be this guy? For example, inside a HTML, I am putting this open brace and close brace. That is going to be an expression, right? It is not going to treat it as a JavaScript code. It is not treating it as an if condition keyword. If I have to put something JavaScript related, I need to put some open and close flower brace. Only inside this, I say some 20 plus 30, I say some binding, etc. things can be done. But why we are using this if condition and all? If you without using if conditions, all the things is possible, right? If I put if, it is actually breaking the rule of your fragments or rule of your expressions. Are we clear? Okay, I think we can write condition in top on render. We can use that in fragment like condition have checked. It's obviously again I'm telling Ganesh, here you cannot make use of it. Outside of this guy, you can use whatever the JavaScript you wanted. Am I clear? Now, if you really want the condition to be done, keep it outside. Under the fragment, you make sure whatever the syntax we need to follow. Clear? Any more questions? Good to see a lot of cross questions. I'm really liking it. Keep doing this, guys. Okay, whenever I'm saying something, if you're not clear, keep putting this cross questions and get the things clarified. But only thing is, finally, everybody is so clear with whatever we have discussed today. Everyone offline, online. Okay, so let's pause it for today, guys. We'll meet again back on tomorrow. So tomorrow I'll be going with this project. Actually, the reason why I have shown this iterator is in the project I would like to show some like product details, etc.